Speed have been ruled out.
And it's crashes like those that have us taking action. ABC15 is launching a new campaign tonight called Operation Safe Roads.
We see far too many deadly crashes, speeding and impairment putting all of us at risk, and that's why we're making a commitment unlike anything we've ever done before. A promise to take action and make our roads safer.
Here's Katie Rammel to explain how it works.
It is something deeply important to us here at ABC15. Quite frankly, we can do better than just report the story and move on to the next. We want you to be able to take action in response to what's happening on our valley roads, because something has got to change.
He left her there to die. She would have lived if they would have called 911.
We have drivers not stopping to help and children witnessing their pregnant mother's last moments.
She keeps saying, can we go to the hospital and wake mommy up? And I can't because she's not there anymore.
Best friends coming home alone and devastating seconds that'll haunt them for life.
I asked if he wanted to go on a run with me, and it was first time of the year that he said yeah.
It's happening with wrong way drivers.
A wrong way crash, turning deadly.
And distracted drivers.
People are so careless now. They don't see what they do. They don't own up. They take off instead of stopping. They should just own up to what they're doing.
We have aging roads.
We have noticed it more the last 2 years. A combination, more visitors, more travelers, and hence more interruptions, more accidents.
And flooded roads.
I have seen rescues in here where people, they try to go across.
Roads filled with poor choices.
People just choose to kind of play Russian roulette, I guess, and run across the street.
And roads filled with prayer.
I'm worried that I'm going to get hit. Like, I pray so many times.
We think of ourselves. We don't think of the person in the crosswalk. We don't think of the person that has the right-of-way. We want the right-of-way. We take the right-of-way. That's our culture right now.
But it is a culture that can change. Issues that must be solved. So what you'll start seeing more from us.
And to make our streets safer.
A commitment to doing everything we can to make our roads safer for all of us. You'll be right there with a front seat view.
Please turn to the right.
You'll hear from those most affected.
I'll never be a grandma.
Learn real life ways to protect yourself and your family.
We want parents to get involved.
Be inspired to spark change.
Road debris is the type of thing that can be cured.
Safer roads is a shared responsibility. We all play a part, and change starts here. And change is needed now. ADOT tells me in the last 2 years, deadly crashes are up 36%. We lose one person every 9 hours on Arizona roads. For Operation Safe Roads, I'm Katie Rammel.
Now to an Operation Safe Roads special report, revealing a safety concern on one of our busiest freeways, Interstate 10. It's something that's resulted in dozens of deaths, more than 150 crashes, and tens of millions of dollars in jury verdicts.
The victims tell ABC15 investigator Dave Biskobing one fix could eliminate almost all of it. So why isn't it being done?
It was mid-morning, just south of the valley.
Deadly accident on I-10.
An SUV swerves to miss something on Interstate 10, loses control, rolls through the median, head-on into traffic.
2 people in the SUV were killed.
They were Pam Humphrey and Ann Quinn, Mike Humphrey's wife and sister.
What happened to her car is like exploded. This is what happens when 2 cars hit each other at 75 miles an hour.
That was May 14th, 2008. And for the past decade, Mike's been locked in a lawsuit with the Arizona Department of Transportation.
It's like a perfect storm of danger. They got to have the cable. If that cable had been in there, she would have hit the cable would have stopped the car.
And this is exactly what he's fighting for. Cable median barriers, high-tension wires to prevent crossover crashes.
They're effective at stopping vehicles at high speeds. In fact, here's some video of them in action. But on I-10, from Phoenix to Tucson, they're almost nowhere to be found.
We would actually be doing a disservice by putting up barriers because we'd be causing more harm than good.
Stephen Boshin is a top engineer with ADOT.
A barrier is actually a hazard, and there would be more crashes.
What he means is most drivers would hit the cables unnecessarily because at about 80 feet, ADOT claims I-10 medians are, quote, very wide, and most cars should be able to stop. But with cars driving 75 plus, not all do.
You guys
studied to see if there are any clusters or areas where this happens more than others?
You have not identified any clusters. These are extremely rare, unpredictable events.
But ADOT's only tracked crossovers since 2015. To fill in the gap, Mike and his attorneys provided ABC15 with I-10 crossover crashes going back 17 years. They believe there are clusters. Since 2001, within the 20-mile stretch where Mike's family died, there were 64 crossover crashes, injuring 74, killing 20. And in a 20-mile stretch near Picacho Peak, there were 81 crashes, 79 injuries, and 26 deaths. So is that extremely rare, or is it a real problem that needs solving? That's the debate, and lawsuits and lost lives don't make it any simpler.
But not being able to be with your loved one at the end is just devastating. Even now. Because it's just burned into my mind what happened. I saw pictures of the car, and it didn't have to happen.
If not for his son, Mike says he may not have made it. His brother-in-law didn't.
And he just couldn't live without her. And so in 2012, he actually took his life.
If that wasn't hard enough, Mike says the trial was almost worse.
I think they tried to portray me as just, money grubber. In their closing, they talked about suffering is optional.
It must not have sat well with the jury. They believed ADOT should have had cables up, given I-10's crash history, and they issued a massive verdict, $40 million. That's on top of another $8 million verdict for another crossover crash within the same year and same mile on I-10. Nearly $50 million for just 2 crashes. To cable the entire stretch of I-10 from Phoenix to Tucson, it would cost about $12 million.
Heck, at one point, I offered to settle the whole thing for a mile of cable. Just put in a mile of cable.
Why don't we do it? There's lives being lost. There's huge amounts of money being paid out. Why should the public feel comfortable knowing that there aren't median barriers out there?
I would offer that we don't want to practice shotgun engineering, and what I mean by that is if there's a crash, we don't want to immediately go out there and say there's a problem, because we need to do a safety analysis out there.
Whatever side you're on, the divide's been costly, and there appears to be very little middle ground.
This is just going to keep playing out crash after crash after crash forever until they do something.
For Operation Safe Roads, Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
One thing you won't hear in our reporting is the term accident, because we believe very few of these are accidents. That word suggests no one's at fault, when in reality, most of the time, it's a driver who's to blame.
And we're also forming an advisory board here at ABC 15, made up of community leaders who can affect change on our roads, and it also includes many who have lost loved ones. So how can our roads be safer? What's being ignored? Do you have an idea for how to fix a dangerous problem? We've set up a special email address and a toll-free hotline.
Email us at roads@abc15.com or call our new toll-free hotline 1-833-AZ-ROADS. And for more information on Operation Safe Roads, head to abc15.com/roads. Now to some news and